What's up, guys? This is Jason with Yeti Games. Resuming my Germany playthrough. We're in the tail end of 1936, and we're going to try to push into 1937, maybe get through this video. My last video, we kind of discussed variants, and so hopefully we can things should be kicking off soon over here in the east. Japan will sometime soon be kicking off the event they get to go to war with China, and we might send an expeditionary force to go help out and get some experience from that, and that'll help give us something to kind of watch as we continue building up on the home front. And it looks like MEF Bill's kicked off again. Alright, so we have a carrier fighter and we have our carrier naval bomber. We could do close air support if our carriers were going to support. If we were fighting like Japan has to, island hopping and not being able to necessarily fly from the airfield to wherever they're attacking, say Australia or the Dutch East Indies, they would use their carriers as bases. They would have probably two different carrier types. They would have fighters on both, but one would be a ground support with close air support carrier fighters, and then they'd have their naval defense / attack variant where they would be naval bombers instead of close air support. We don't have to worry about that. Where we're fighting, we can base close air support and be able to use that even across the channel to support our armies there. So we're going to focus entirely. I'm not going to research the carry-based close air support. I just don't need it. Between tactical bombers and the close air support that I have, we'll be able to support our ground troops wherever they're fighting. So we're set now on fighters until 1940. And now that we're at December, this is the point where I'm like, the penalty for not 1938, that's still way too high, but more like 1937, the penalty isn't that big. So what do I want to research into? Actually, we still have this to do. I'm going to kick off this before and then 45 days, we'll be in 37. There'll be no more penalty when we finish that for research ahead of time. Right. Get it going. Extra research slot. Alright. So now we can talk about... We're going to do the Rhineland. We're going to get this one first. That way my army can finally get in position against France. I'm going to get some political power. Here in the next few days we'll have enough. It's going to take 2 days. In 2 days we'll be able to choose a new political government change. This is going to give us 120, so by the time this finishes, we'll get to pick another one. So, that'll be nice. Last time we picked the captain of industry, and this time I am going to go with, I'm going to go with, no, but I don't have enough points, but when I have enough points, we're going to pick the electronics research time, and we're going to reduce that. That's the way I'm going to go. And that will decrease the time by 10% for this one. So first, we have a research to pick. I kind of want to wait on doing this one because, yeah, choices. So I kind of want to get this one started too. All right. We get our field hospital started, which we're gonna end up attaching to our infantry division for trickle back, because they're the highest manpower. Most units are going to be, I mean, our majority of our army is going to be this infantry with the 9 infantry and 1. We might also end up adding some artillery to it, just to get that soft attack up. Attach the, don't have enough points, that's why I haven't done it yet. We'll attach a recon company for them, we'll attach a field hospital, and then either logistics or a signal company. Probably logistics for them to reduce, because the majority of our army, so that will reduce what we need in support materials. Which means we don't have to have as much stockpile, which means we don't have to have as many factories producing it. So we can focus on other things. Alright. See, we're still insufficient. But it's just that battleship. Here it is. Like I said, I'm an opaque electronics concern. That dropped our mechanical computing to 191 days from over 200. So that's nice. Usually Japan has kicked off the Marco Polo event that lets them declare war on China at this point, but it looks like they're waiting a little bit this game, which is fine. Some more infantry divisions, so I'm gonna wait till all 7 finish. At the same time, we got dispersed, actually researched. I'm gonna keep this research line in industry. I'm gonna research machine tools so we can get that production boost. The cap will increase, which will give us production boost. Construction doing, construction's building. See, now we have enough, now up to 47. We own 52, but we're losing 5 from trade and 1 to consumer goods. So we have 46 factories building, new factories. So we're pumping out 3 as fast as we can, and then 1's going a little bit slower, but when 1 finishes, it will bump up to being full, and so on and so forth. Starting to actually pump things out. All right, we've got infantry. We've got 7 of them.
All right.
I'm gonna give 6 to this army, and I'm gonna start putting infantry in these guys so we can start increasing. Because we're kind of spread out still. Mostly in the south here, there's gaps. There's big gaps with Rommel. We want to start, at least have 2 units along this side. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, see, he'll have, if I give him 6, he'll have 2 units on every province here. And then we'll try to get it over here as well. So we're going to deselect 1. I'm going to give these to him. got one that's left over. I'm going to give to Rommel just because he has less overall right now. Until he can get this motorized. So, let them move in place. I know one of these units is a cavalry. There he is. That's fine. I'm not too worried about that. Oh, it looks like you put 3 there and left 1 there. Whatever. I think it's because there's these units that border that, even though his offensive line is against Poland. It put 3 there because there's 2 enemy units here from Lithuania. What do we got? Motorized, that's going to go to Rommel as well to balance out motorized and tanks. So he's got 2 tanks, 2 motorized divisions.
Right.
Goering has 2 tanks and 2 motorized, so we're going to keep that balanced. Alright, radio finished. I'm going to go in and immediately start researching signal company, so we can get those attached when we have enough experience to do so. No template for... Oh, so we finally got military factories completed. We're starting to build these, and it's telling me, well, you've got a unit you're building, but you don't have a template. Nobody is using that unit. Yeah, I know. I'm going to right click on this and make it go away because I don't have enough army experience to add this tank where I want to. Where I want to add him is the Panzer Division. I'm going to add in light self-propelled artillery. Turning this unit into a infantry grinder, basically. He's going to have huge amounts of soft attack against an infantry division. So, but until we get army experience, we need 10 army experience, I think, to add him. Maybe it's 5. It's 5. We have 3, we need 5. Like I said, when Japan gets around to declaring war on China to increase our army and air experience, we're going to go join that war. And we're going to get to fight in that war for a good solid, I mean, it depends when they kick it off. But if they did it, if they were working on it right now and kicked it off in 6 days or so, we would have a good solid 1.5 years of helping Japan fight China until we have to worry about pulling those units back for our war that will kick off over here. So 6 days, kill a little time, try to get there, and then we can talk about what decision we're going to pick next, because we're still under. So we remilitarize the Rhineland, taking back territory, clear violation of the Treaty of Versailles, which is what ended World War I. Our population cheers. They're happy that we're throwing off the shackles that were placed on us by France and Britain. It is German territory. Alright. So we don't have enough military yet. Even though it shows our army is almost 600,000 men, 85,000 of that is training. And it doesn't count towards what this is wanting, which is manpower in divisions in the field. What you've actually deployed, not what you're training. Otherwise, you could just start training a bunch of infantry, get it high enough, select a decision, and then drop it back down as soon as this decision is done. So we need to wait. We need something in the meantime while some more infantry are trained. We can either go increase infrastructure construction speed. We can actually add infrastructure to 4 states. Would be Brandenburg, Thuringen, Hanover. What's the other one? Brandenburg, Hanover, Thuringen. I think it was. What was the other one? Franken, which is going to be around them somewhere. There it is. Brandenburg, Hanover, Thuringen, and Franken. And they would get max infrastructure, so it would go from 7 of 10 to 10 of 10. That adds no benefit at this point. When our armies get bigger, it means we can get more supply throughput, and our reinforcements. You'll see these guys are marked for strategically redeploying, so they're moving a long distance. They're going to use our infrastructure to move it, and the higher the infrastructure level, the faster they'll move through. When we're stretched out, if and when we go to war with Soviet Union and we're fighting far into their territory, we're going to want a good line, at least a north one and a south one, and if we can afford it, a central one, of at least 6 infrastructure along the line to get units to the front from where they get deployed at. We won't be able to deploy into Poland because it'll just they won't fully surrender. They'll capitulate. There'll be a government in exile, and we won't be able to deploy units straight there. So we'll have to still deploy in German territory and move and then capture territory. We can't deploy in captured territory either. So we're going to want to move as fast as possible as we're building them to get them where they'll give us the most advantage. And we're going to need the infrastructure lines to do that. So we'll have 3 lines that are getting supplies, arms, new tanks, equipment, what have you, as well as strategically redeploying to get from Berlin to wherever they're going to go to. We did get our battleship finished, so we're going to integrate them. We now have 3 battleships, 3 heavy cruisers, 6 light cruisers, and 16 destroyers. So still, we would lose this fleet in a battle with the United Kingdom, so we need to keep going. Now have 15 dockyards, so it's going to show that we're really low on oil and chromium, but in all honesty, this is going to be done in October, so we're completing it in 8 months. That's pretty good. We're just going to let that go. I'm not going to trade away factories. We're still at 46 factories. We're going to have to build some more soon. But we'll wait a little bit on that. So when we finished the remilitarization of the Rhineland, we got that 120 political power, which has let us pick another decision here. So I'm going to pick War Industrialist, building military factories and dockyards 10% faster. We need to pick another nationalist focus. We finished the Rhineland. We can't yet do Auschwitz. So we could do naval rearmament, giving us more dockyards. We could do army innovations, which is the way I'm leaning. So the naval rearmament and the naval effort will give us some free dockyards. And then the naval effort will also give some research bonus to destroyers and light cruisers. And then we can do expand dockyards facilities, which is going to give us more free dockyards. We're going to go with Plan Z, which is going to give us some research for battle cruisers, battleships, and carriers, as well as a couple dockyards and some Navy experience. So we'll be able to we will be able to hopefully turn this into a sufficient fleet to take on Britain. And then we have air innovations. Research bonus would be for battlefield support doctrine only. It's a good thing. I want to keep going down that route for my air innovations, and it's going to add some air bases and allow Ritter von Grimm as a new political advisor, or chief of the Air Force, sorry. I'll touch on that in a minute. Anyway, I'm going to pick Army Innovations while we wait for more units to deploy in May. Looks like MEFO bills, again, like I said, it's just going to keep popping up and I'm going to keep clicking on it. So you have military staff, Chief of the Army, Chief of the Navy, Chief of the Air Force, and then your high command. Some of these units are locked. This one, you have to complete Army Innovations, which is what we're working towards. So it's a national focus, Army Innovations, unlocks him as a selectable Chief of the Army, Chief of the Navy. Now some of these are experts and some of these are geniuses. So if it's a genius, his bonus is higher than an expert would be. That doesn't necessarily mean that what he gives, because we're not going to be cavalry ready. If I was going focused on submarines and waging submarine warfare with the United Kingdom to try to prevent them from getting the resources they need to keep their factories going, then I might go with Carl Donuts. Getting that raiding convoy efficiency will let you destroy more convoys, less materials get through. Their factories don't get the steel or the rubber or whatever else they're importing. They can't keep them going. They can't build airplanes. They can't build armies. They can't build ships. We still can. Eventually we will be able to destroy them. If I went with the Chief of the Navy, I would, even though he's not the same level, he gives more benefits to the fleet I actually have. So keep that in mind. There are different levels of advisors or chiefs. Some of them have prerequisites you have to meet before you can select them. But it all depends on what benefit is this advisor. So specialist is the lowest, expert, and then genius. But basically, they need to benefit you in some way. Choosing the best option for the highest skilled or intellect is not going to bring a benefit to me, so there's no point in wasting that. Everything you do should bring you some kind of benefit in a way that you want. See, Rommel was a genius, and he would give armor division attack and armor division defense plus 50%. That'd be worth it. Victor Schultz gives submarine detection. I don't really have to worry about that. And he's only a specialist. Like, I'm not going to end up picking him. But yeah, your advisors should bring a tangible benefit, something you're willing and happy to accept. Now we have our 30 armies spread out on the divisions, not armies. 30 divisions spread out across the French border, and they're just going to sit here. If I zoom out, let's see, looks like 24. 19, 21, yeah, 24 divisions versus 30. So I have the numerical advantage, but France has built level 10 forts. They're level 10 forts. Minus 15% for each fort level, so a minus 150% to attackers attacking across these forts. I don't care how big my numerical advantage is. There's no way, even if they had just one infantry per province, and I had multiple, there's no way I'm breaking this line, especially when they're entrenched. All these are going to be 30% entrenched as well on top of that, so they're going to be a higher defense rating. And there's no way I'd be able to bust through this line. There's no way. To fight France, you can't go head on. You either go to the north or through the south. You have to go around this. And the fortification, it's every province has that level 10 fort that borders Germany, if I click on the right ones. So there's no weak point to attack and exploit. It's the entire border. So, keep that in mind when you're planning to play Germany, making decisions you know are going to lead to war. Worker conditions, I don't care about. Tungsten, let's make sure. I built more factories, and now I need another tungsten. We need to look at producing 4, exporting 2. No, I'm extracting 5, using 4 for production, and exporting 2. So I've got 5, I'm exporting 2, which leaves me 3, using 4, or needing 4 in production, leaves me with -1. I am going to leave it for now because I'm not actually producing or using these units in... They're just being stockpiled at the moment until I can get... Oh! Did we finish army innovation? No? How do we get army experience? Oh, there, from that. So, demilitarizing the Rhineland increased our army experience by 5, which gives us enough points to update the template and add that. This is going to change their manpower. They're going to need 36 light self-propelled artillery. We're going to have a problem for a couple minutes. Save that. I want that to be done. So, we now have, where we had 36 surplus, we're now 216 in the hole, because not only do the 5 tank units that I built need 36 apiece, but the one that I'm training now needs the self-propelled light artillery. We'll recover from it. It's not something that's going to hurt us, but it's something to remember when you're adding and you're increasing your templates, it increases it not just for the new ones, but all existing ones as well. It's something I plan for. It's not critical at the moment. I mean, nice, our next carrier. It's not critical at the moment that I have enough of these guys in every army, because I've still got 2 years to really plan things out and get production up. You know, we're going to end up doing some more production here soon, and kind of build up our civilian and military factories, try to get our dockyards maxed out, and then build a few more refineries. So our carriers, now we have researched the most modern German carrier that we can at this point. It's got a deck size of 55, which is good enough for what we're doing, mostly because we can support it still with air-based fighters and air-based naval bombers. We upgraded from 7 armor to 9. I don't really know what the British have as a counter to that. I don't know what their armor's at. I don't know what their deck size is at. But it's good enough for me. So now we need to start actually building them. Let's see, we're working on support units. Excuse me. Still too early to do that one. 39, it's too early to do those. We haven't finished Army Innovations yet. We've got 15 days on that. Naval, we're not doing any air. I'm not going to build radar detection, radio detection, or radars. So we're going to put this into production. We're going to start, I want to excavate more. Or construction speed first and then excavation. That's what we're going to work on. And Japan still has not gone to war with China. There will be a newspaper historical article like the other ones that have popped up when major decisions are made, so we'll know when that happens. Alright, where are we at? 520. Yep, still not enough. Your national focus, you can wait up to 10 days and not lose any time spent on your... So you won't lose 10 days worth. So I'm curious, when are these going to be deployed? May 16th, 11 days. Ugh. I don't want to lose any time, even one day. And it's probably going to take a couple days to get them all out, because I bet this one, yeah, May 22nd, that's 17 days. If we waited 17 days, we would have enough manpower in the field to pick this. We would lose 7 days worth of time. That's 10%. I'm stuck now between, do I want to add some air bases, air experience, or do I want to do a treaty with USSR? This would allow us to research the next tank level with no penalty for ahead of time. So it's 37. We're 2 years ahead of time. There's a huge penalty right now. This would eliminate the ahead of time penalty, and we would research it as if it was 1939 right now. Which is, or I could go, I think I'm going to actually go and do this. Get our coal liquidation started. So this is going to give us a synthetic refinery. It's going to add a building slot in Sanshin and fill it with a synthetic refinery. And then we're going to get a 75% bonus for synthetic resources. So what that means is here, synthetic oil, these are our synthetic resources. We're going to get a 75% bonus to one of these. And we're gonna spend it on oil and increasing the oil production. So not only do we get the free factory, which is going to give us, I believe they start at 1 each, 1 oil, 1 rubber. But we're going to get to be able to increase this, and all of the factories we build will then make 2 oil and 1 rubber. So it really adds up. The more factories you build, the more you rely on synthetic refineries. This research line becomes more crucial. Versus if you're making, like, so Romania has 70 oil that they produce here in the state. So they don't have to worry as much about oil. That's plenty of oil, even if they're exporting half of it with export focus, economic loss, trade loss. 35 oil is still even more than Germany's using now, and Romania is a much smaller. We're using 43, so 35 isn't everything, but it goes a lot farther than our imported 24. Like, but they still have to worry about rubber, and so they might focus on synthetic refineries just for rubber. So yeah, Hindenburg. Oh no! Oh, narrowly avoided. Yay! So in this alternate reality, in history, the Hindenburg had a spark that turned it into an inferno, and it burned up, killing all aboard. All lives were lost. In this alternate history, we detected the leak and prevented it. And so, yay! It was a tragic event that this alternate history didn't have to live through. And we'll have those infantry out soon. Our army will be big enough to annex Austria, and then we'll continue to build it up. I mean, we need to take Czechoslovakia too, and they're next on our roadmap to dominating. Alright, so we have Rommel and Guderian. Rommel has 1 infantry, so we're going to give him 3. Kind of keep the infantry balanced. And we're going to give 4 to Guderian, and that should give us enough where every province bordering Poland has... Oh, not everyone. Well, almost every province has a unit in it. Alright, our production cap just jumped up another 5 or 10%. 5 to 10%. And we're gonna roll that into dispersed industry. Keep focusing on our industry. We've got enough points now to modify the government. We've got MEFO again, 18 days. Oh, what do we do next? We've got a theorist. These are kind of a research, catch-all research expert. You've got dive bombers. Yeah. Blitzkrieg. If you're going to go for rocket or nuclear research, these would let you get a bonus there. What is our land doctrine that we're going to focus in? Mobile warfare. So we could get a theorist who would increase our mobile warfare as well as daily army experience gain. We have enough army experience again to bump that up, so keep that in mind. We'll look at that in a second. So these are going to be kind of some miscellaneous, and it depends on your country and who you have. Theorists. Political advisors, I don't know if I'm going to pick one right now. There's not really one that I'm like, oh yeah, I need that guy. War support, oh, see now, I may pick this guy. My war support's sitting at 42%. That's been increased by world tension. Right now, we are increasing world tension by 4.6%. Not a whole lot, but I mean it's there. I generated 5% when I remilitarized the Rhineland. It's gone down. It will continue to go down as long as no more threat is generated by 0.5% per month. So. But I could bump my war support to 52% by selecting Joseph Goebbels. And then next time I got enough political points, I would have enough to bump my partial mobilization to war economy, reducing the number of consumer good factories I need by 5%. I may get my one factory back. But really, I don't know if that, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, hey, is it really worth it? The conversion speed's faster. Military factory construction speed is 10% faster. But it's really that consumer good factories that that series of events is not most beneficial to me right now. Visions, speed, attack, training time, alright, it's all divisions, yeah. I'm gonna go with still deciding, but actually I think I'm gonna go with Pencil. I'm gonna pick a tank manufacturer to start getting things ready. So right now, because I did not up to this point have a dedicated tank design company, my tanks are just generic. Light Tank 2 doesn't have a design company. Well, now that I've selected a design company for tanks, the next tank I research will be a Hensel tank, and it will have the design company, and it will have benefits from that design company. So I'll show that to you when that happens. things have trickled down a bit. Building some synthetic refineries. Still have a need for oil, but hopefully not a whole lot longer. Or at least not so deep of a oil deficiency. Because these factories are almost done, I'm going to deploy new factories now, and then I'm going to take another break. So, again, you'll see me civilian. Four civilian factories. Now it's turned blue because it's maxed out. And this one's solid blue because it has already finished construction of all the factory slots that it has. This one is blue with lines because it has been assigned all factory slots, but it's still building one. These are yellow, so they still have open slots. But for those, do 4 more. Those. Those. Dockyards. Every province should now have a future construction plan. This whole army now, with the increase in infantry, we're now positive. All of our plan values are positive. And so it's to our advantage. The entire army group. There's still things like large river crossings that may happen, and I haven't really given them any long-term objectives, but they still would attack wherever they had. Like here, the tank would just start going in wherever it could, path of least resistance, because there's no opposing armies. So yeah, we assigned our construction and we've moved forward a little bit. I'm going to keep it going actually. Yeah, just kidding. Oh, yeah, what we're going to do was... Alright, so we have recon companies add. We have recon already. We're going to add recon company to our infantry. It's going to increase defense, breakthrough, soft attack, hard attack, reconnaissance. It's going to need more supplies and organization to keep this added men working. Really what it's going to add is 10% movement across all of the terrain types. So that means that our infantry will be able to move a little bit better. Wish I could add, but I don't have the 15, so I can't add more artillery to them. So I can't turn them into really high defense, though. So anyway, we will assign that recon company. And then we're going to try to push through a little bit more. Oh, we got a new unit. Look at Guderian. Guderian has 2 motorized. Also has 2 motorized. But Guderian has more total, so we're going to assign this to Rommel. Just to keep things balanced, and hopefully it's going to go right here. Good. Now, every province opposing Poland has at least 1 division. And we have reached 625,000 men. It is middle 37. We haven't gotten that one yet. Who knows this? We're going to research delay, 129 days. So, yes, we could have probably researched delay and elastic defense by this point, but we were able to get other things done, and now we can look at this, getting this done in a little bit more than 4 months, half the time that it would have normally taken. And we haven't needed it, which is another thing. Get coal liquidation going, and then we'll get the neck. We'll be able to. Oh, poor Amelia. Amelia Earhart disappeared, guys. She did not make her circumnavigation of the world. Sometimes she does, but it's weighed towards this event where she disappears, because that's what happened historically. We got mechanical computing, so now our bonus to research is at 10%. And we have Henschel and Simeons. So, July 37. This one's still ahead of time. Got that, those going. We don't have that bonus yet. That will happen in about 12 days. So Signal Company, when it completes, it will start on synthetic oil processing. So, we sit on maybe everything is researched except for heavy battleships. Which we're not going to put any research into. Excuse me, guys. We're not going to put any research into heavy battleships. We're going to start on so we put that motorized there. He rebalanced and moved to cavalry around. So you'll see. Okay, so Soviet Union has done their leadership purge. There was a name for it. I don't remember. But basically, 20% of the army leadership in the Soviet Union, because they were not the correct political affiliation, they were viewed as enemies of communism. Disappeared from the public eye. They were basically, it was a mock trial. They were found guilty of crimes against communism and executed. Evidence presented to try as far from indisputable. So right now, Soviet Union at its absolute weakest. Unfortunately, we are not strong enough to capitalize, because right now, Soviet Union does not have enough leadership to effectively be able to fight anyone. But no one's in a position to capitalize on that. So what we hope is that when we are able, in about 5 years, to capitalize on that, they haven't fully recovered yet. So we'll see. So we got coal liquidation, we got the extra synthetic refinery, we got that research bonus. We're going to apply to better oil in our refineries, and we also have enough men in the field to choose Anschluss. What it's going to do, Austria's going to get this event, and and we're going to get army experience, but Austria's going to get this event, and historically they accepted it, so it will be heavily weighted towards that. We also have strong enough army that makes them really consider the ramifications of not accepting. So oil, we've dropped from needing 16 oil to only needing 12 now, so we've come up 4 oil in our. We're still working on 2 more refineries, but we just got 1, and we built 1. The oil is not nearly as critical as it was, and again, it's just coming down into this battleship. It doesn't have enough oil, doesn't have enough chromium, so it's going slower, but we'll have it done in about 4 more months. Carry it over. I think we'll assign this one, so we'll assign that one here. Try to get enough military factories to really start building this too. Leave them at 1 for now. I'm going to leave you at 1. I want to get you to 3, but I also want to start in production here. So and that surplus is going to have to start coming up too. We're going to have to assign some factories here because we're going to go through that in a month of fighting. I have, in my experience, you go through about 5,000 equipment a month. So plan for probably a year-long fight, 6 months or so with France while you fight Poland. Maybe another 6 months to a year while you're prepping and invading England, or Denmark, Norway. And when you go to war with the Soviet Union, plan for a year-long struggle. And every month you're going to need 5,000 infantry equipment. Beyond what you already produce. So you want to have stockpiled enough for probably 24 total months of fighting. At 5,000. 120,000 or so surplus is my target. As a base for the 1936 infantry equipment. Yeah, 1936 infantry equipment. 120,000 is base. That will mean that you'll have guns for the rest of the game. And then you can work on upgrades and getting better weapons, but you always will have that base stockpile. Get you through the game. You will capture weapons from Poland and France and whoever else you end up fighting. You will capture weapons. Your armies. So, equipment. I can select for any division what equipment they'll use. So I can deselect something and it will not allow this equipment to come into this division. This will increase when you capture, so if I say fight Poland and I capture some infantry equipment, it will automatically come here, defaulted as selected, and I can come in unselected, so they won't use the Polish equipment. It doesn't cost anything to change this. I can deselect it and have this unit will not get new equipment, as in it will not newly researched equipment will not come into this unit. It will go to every other unit, and it will never come into this one. So it's interesting. Like my cavalry, they're fine with just these. They're not going to be fighting on the front lines after Poland. I'll just have them in reserve somewhere. So I could uncheck this. I won't. They don't need a whole lot, but that way you can kind of better control where your equipment's going and get it to the most effective units first. Still working on fighters. Set that to 100. All tactical bombers. Where are my close air support? Here. They flew back to the first base. Okay. Okay, here we go. Finally it begins. Japan's finally doing something. So they declared war on Shaanxi. I don't think they're at war with China yet, though. But it's the target of foreign war goals. So, I'm sure Japan has now researched whatever they needed for their Marco Polo Bridge incident, and that they are justifying war goals against China so they can go to war. As soon as that happens, I'll send my expeditionary force to join China and get some army and air force experience from that. There it is. Alright. So, Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong have issued a joint announcement. They will fight side by side in their differences in the face of Japanese attack. If you don't know, Chiang Kai-shek is democratic and Mao Zedong is communist. Mao Zedong fought with the democratic powers, nationalist China, up until the point where they fought back against the Chinese or the Japanese and pushed the Japanese out of China, and then gathered the people under his power and took over. So this helps fight Japanese aggression out of China, but eventually Mao Zedong, being the stronger political leader, will overthrow the nationalist Chinese powers, and communist China will be born. So we are going to request, let's see how many, send volunteers. We can send 4. We're going to send Rommel. In general, we want to get experience. We're going to send Rommel, and we're going to send von Kluge to go with him. But we need to get Rommel down to 4 units. We're going to do 2 motorized and 2 tank. Everything else is going to transfer to Heinz Guderian. And that leaves 4 with Rommel. How many air forces can they send? I should have put that too while I was over here. $226 planes. So China, just like Republican Spain, did not have a very large air force. So we can send 120 fighters and 100. If we have them, let's see if we have them. All of the other the warlords, the Chinese warlords, are all joining against Japan. Drop this to 150. Alright. What if I just drop this one? we're going to bring the Messerschmitt, the F-109s, as well as the Junkers Ju-87 Stukas. 220 worth. You can send 228, but I'm just going to send 220. It'll be plenty. Alright. Send volunteers, Rommel. So, Japan declaring war has generated almost 8% of world tension, and now world tension between Japan and myself is at 16%. So, war tension is getting up there. Our war support is climbing as well. And I don't entirely know where our units are going to arrive in Japan. Hopefully here, somewhere close to the front line. But we'll see. Just glance at the service officer, we're good there. We're not getting all the rubber, but we're getting enough because we don't need any. We have 5 surplus. When we get to 7, we can stop importing. So we're close. When these 2 are built, we'll be able to stop importing rubber. We'll be making all of our own rubber within Germany itself. Alright, Japan has to allow the volunteer transfer force. They do. So where are they going to arrive? Expect to arrive. Doesn't say where. August 1st. There you go, Marco Polo Bridge incident. This is really what struck that Japan used as a reason to declare war. So they skirmished over the Marco Polo Bridge, which Japan refused to apologize for the skirmish, so Japanese declared war. It's funny this happened after Japan declared war, but you know, this game's funny like that sometimes. So Japan has done a naval invasion over here on this Shandong province, and you can tell that there's not a whole lot against it because they're just walking all over China. So I really hope to get involved in this before the war's over. Alright, we're still middle of 37. We've done really good in our research so far. It's got 82 days left. We've got ships up to there. So I may have to start, I have to. Oh no, oh this, yeah. That's what I was going to do. So we've dropped down with the 75% bonus to 23 days. Double our oil production. But yeah, I'm getting to a point, at least for now, until 1938, when other things become. I might be Marines next, just to have some Marines as special forces. But it's still ahead of time. I may start doing our naval and air doctrine research and not wait for the national focus bonuses to those. Should be, there we go. Alright, 4 divisions have arrived in East Hebei. Good, they showed up where I wanted them to. Right here. Assign you. We're gonna pick Von Cluj. Well, yeah, we want him to get the experience, but it's gonna take some time for him to get there. But in the meantime, it's gonna take like 15 days. Yeah. In the meantime, we're gonna draw up our build it like that, and we'll do an offensive line. And let's draw it. Let's come down over here. Strike through like that. Hopefully between Japan's army here and us here, we can create a wedge and encircle some armies here in the middle. Let's see. We gotta send over our air force. So we got some way out. You and yeah, there you are. Okay. You and you, 220 planes. Oh, I forgot. Dang it. All y'all probably laughing at me like, oh yeah, he sent those volunteer forces, but he forgot to click the volunteer air force checkbox. Well, I've done it now, so they should accept it. They'll allow my air force to join, and I really haven't lost any time. I'm just gonna select them again. Alright, 220 airplanes. Now I can fly. Where will you let me base out of? Here? Here? Unfortunately, they don't have any airports yet. So there's no good place until I capture this one. These planes can go, so they're gonna have to go from over here. And they'll fly across the world.
Alright.
There. And then we'll attach them to you. And really, they can't reach there. But until we capture another airfield, we don't have any we can work out of. We can't use Manchurias. Even though they're a puppet of Japan, it's not letting us base here. There's not enough room there or there for our planes, and Japan has planes there anyway. So we're kind of boned here. I forgot to activate your army orders, so we're going to do that now, so you'll actually start attacking. Battle for Berlin. We are the highest skilled general. Wow. Oh, it's because I'm in control of Japanese units. I can do bonsai charges. That's cool. Alright. We've got industry going fairly well. We finally researched our oil processing, so we should drop down. Now we're 9. We were at 16 and now we're at 9, so we cut it almost in half. Almost there. Oil free. Import oil. Alright, so it looks like they have completely just busted through. There's no nobody who was able to stop the Japanese from just breaking through. We have 6. We have I'm going to go in, I'm going to edit this unit, I'm going to attach a signal 10. Just kidding. As you would. Here's the problem with busting through like that. Japan has got themselves encircled. They're cut off from supply. They will use whatever current strength they're at to continue fighting, but eventually they will capitulate if Japan can't break through. And these guys got us as well. So I guess he should have waited a little bit before just busting through like that. Hopefully we get this airfield soon. There we go. It's going to take a day or so to... Alright, let's get our airplanes moved over. I don't care. Where are they at? Are they already moved? Oh, they already moved. So as soon as I capture that airfield and they had enough room, they have flown over to support. So they'll rebase as well. That's good to know. I don't have to worry about that Air Force at all. It is going to continue to support this army wherever it fights, and it will move itself to whatever airfield it can do that from. That's awesome. On that note, we're going to save the rest of the war in China for next week. Not next week. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break, cut this video off because it's gone long enough, and then we'll resume it. So, thank you guys for watching. This is Jason with Dire Yeti Gaming, and if you want to see something happen, maybe give me an idea where you'd like to see my focus shift to. There are some things I won't do, but I'd love to discuss it with you, so message me in the comments. If you like the videos I'm making and how I'm presenting the new content, go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe. Thanks guys, see you soon.